We'll move over to the pass catchers, and we start with Davante Adams against the Colts. He's got under 10 points in 3 of his 4 games with the Jets. It has not been pretty. We got to hear from Adams this week on the offense trying to turn things around.
Just executing at the right times. And when I say the right times, I mean going down and obviously we had started the game with a couple. We didn't have very many possessions in the first half, period. So making the ones count, scoring touchdowns. So that's on us as the offense is putting it in, but you're not going to score every time. So that's the part where we got to come together, and obviously they got to do what they got to do on the other side of the ball to help us in those situations where we don't get hurt. When we end up with points, and it's a tough game, man. You just gotta have all phases working together, and we didn't have that today.
Matthew, it felt like things turned the corner for Davante after the Texans game, but then things went right back plummeting against Arizona. Can you still roll with Davante?
There was a lot of talk where he sort of blaming the offense, but then he started blaming the defense.
I like the turning point.
Yeah, is that? Did you play that quote on Badlands, your Jets podcast?
We don't play locker room sound, but we do play locker room sound on Jets postgame.
Interesting. Okay,
Yes.
So did you discuss that quote?
We discuss basically every sound, yeah.
Okay.
But
there's
been a huge problem with finger pointing with
What do
this
you
team.
say for the people that are going to download but not actually listen?
Well, it's not a podcast; it's a TV show.
Okay, whatever. Who can keep track of all your media obligations?
The Jets have
I barely follow you on Twitter. I'm just asking you. Like, what do you come on. What was your reaction?
I mean, they just finger point all the time. It's not. You're higher on Davante Adams than me. You have him wide receiver 12. I think he's trending towards a guy that I don't want to start in fantasy unless I have to.
I guess I'm just, I'm bullish about the matchup against the Indianapolis Colts, right? Wide receivers that have seen at least 7 targets against the Colts this year. Your Colts, Lawrence Jackson, they average over 15 fantasy points per game. 15.1 if you see 7 targets and you're a wide receiver playing the Colts, right? And so over the last 2 weeks, Davante Adams does have 24 targets. He's got a 37% target share. Like Aaron Rodgers is trying to get his buddy involved. He's looking for him more often. Garrett Wilson's been the more productive fantasy wide receiver, but certainly there's been a lot of looks for Davante Adams. And again, given the matchup with Indianapolis, right? He did have 3 end zone looks as well last week. Like they're trying to get him a touchdown. I have Davante Adams at wide receiver 12. Jets are favored in this game. Yeah. Connor Rogers.
Again.
So I am, again.
Always favored Jets.
Yeah, I guess it's I think you gotta bank on Sauce Gardner and DJ Reed against Joe Flacco. Yeah. Like Joe Flacco is the human interception, and so he's interception waiting to happen. Now he's got to go against the Jets secondary, which I know has struggled and hasn't played as well as we expect him to, but it's still
this their chance to bounce back.
They'll be better. They'll be better against the Colts. I don't know if the Jets win this game because they always find a way to lose, but I do think Davante Adams has a good fantasy day, whether it's a winning or losing effort. Top 12 play for me. I'm keeping it open on number 17, Lawrence, but Connor hates him.
This quarterback matchup would have been sick in 2013.
Ah, man, who you telling?
Yeah.
It's good today, too, but for like another reason, if you like comedy or something like that. But look, Matthew,
It's like, listen, first off, you can't be sitting here dogging old guys. Right, okay, look, we're in an era where
I'm probably older than both of them.
Yeah, well, I know I am, for sure. But listen, the Golden Bachelor, there's a renaissance here for us older folks. So,
but see, you're only old if you playing football. If you doing what we do, just sitting up here talking like we can actually do what they do, and we young.
Yeah, I'm young and sprightly.
That's right.
Make no mistake.
We ain't got to do no athletic movements.
Yeah, as the great Jimmy Buffett once said, I'm growing older, but not up. I'm still immature.
I'm going to keep it open too. The Colts defense has played better, but they're still giving it up in the passing game. They let Mac Hollins go for 4 catches, 86 yards.
Mac Hollins catching strays.
I'm just saying, he don't even wear shoes.
After a great performance.
Mac Hollins is a solid wide receiver.
That's his best game since week 3 of 2022.
He's not a fantasy asset.
2022?
Yeah.
They need. Too. Justin Jefferson, he went off against them, but that's expected. But Jordan Addison was a top 20 wide receiver. He hasn't been doing good.
That's fair. It's the only time he was, right?
Yeah, that's his best game of the season.
Yeah, I'll let Jordan Addison catch a stray. That's fine.
So, Davante Adams and Garrett Wilson should be, live to have a solid game.
How about Tank Dell
and
against the Cowboys?
It would make the most sense in the world that the Jets would win this game, and then there's hope only to get dashed the following week.
Yeah,
and
hope at 4-7 though is tough. You're really holding on to something at that point.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's usually how it goes. They beat the Texans.
Hey,
Yeah.
hope
They get
is
blown
how,
out by Arizona.
Hope is how most of us go on every day.
That's right, Lawrence.
It's hope.
You got to
Yeah.
find something.
No, I go to bed every night with hope. You understand?
Maybe the Jets actually play with a big enough lead that Anthony Richardson gets back into this game.
That's not gonna happen.
That's hope.
If he ain't in by now, he ain't getting back
Yeah,
in.
that's fair.
He
That
ain't
is
getting
fair.
in.
It's tough. Do you talk about Anthony Richardson on what is
They
it?
should
Draft-
talk about
draft
trading
Stock
for him.
exchange.
They
Draft
should talk about
exchange.
trading for him. The
stock
Jets.
market?
Yeah, we do talk about Anthony Richardson. How it was not very smart to bench him.
Yeah.
What are you learning from this? You're
Fair
losing
enough.
with Joe Flacco. But what are you going to do?
What are you gonna do?
Tank Dell
What are you
against the
gonna do?
Cowboys, under 40 receiving yards in 3 of his past 4 games. Lawrence, this was supposed to be Tank Dell's time when Nico Collins was on the IR. It just hasn't really worked out that way.
Yeah, but you know what? Hopefully,
He was open in the end zone. Damn it! Like throw the ball, C.J. Stroud.
What we've said recently though is like, oh, no Nico Collins, so this is his time. But I think Nico Collins coming back will help this young man. He in these past 2 games, he still had 28.5% of the targets here. Look, the Dallas Cowboys allowed 3 different wide receivers to score against them. A.J. Brown went 5 catches for 109. And again, this is the Dallas Cowboys. There's 2. We just talked about the Jets. You got the Jets, the Cowboys, and the Colts. Those are 3 teams that's really just hurting overall right now. So if any time for Tank Dell to get back is this week against the Cowboys. He just had a good game a couple weeks ago, 126 yards, so I'm going to leave it open.
He could have had and should have had a good game against Detroit. Stroud just, couldn't pull the trigger. They haven't played together without Stephon Diggs, right? Assuming Nico Collins is active, this will be the first game this year that Nico and Tank play together, but no Stephon Diggs. But you think about last year, there were 9 games in which Nico Collins and Tank Dell played together. And in those games, to your point, Lawrence, Dell averaged 16.2 fantasy points per game. Like, I do think Nico Collins can hopefully free up some stuff for Tank Dell. They'll take some shots, Tim, as well. And I'll just say this. It's Dallas, right? Over their past 4 games, the Cowboys have allowed 6 touchdowns to wide receivers, 6 and 4. So I think there's a chance that Tank and Nico each get into the end zone in a game in which they're heavily favored as well. I'm at wide receiver 31. He's a low-end wide receiver 3, high-end wide receiver 4, but I'm keeping it open on Tank Dell in 12-team or deeper leagues. Hey, it's Matthew Berry from NBCSports.com and RotoWorld.com, and I want to thank you so much for watching whatever it is you just watched, or if nothing else, being too lazy to click out of the autoplay after this video started, after whatever it is you actually wanted to watch finished. But now that you're here, I'd like to take a moment here to ask you respectfully now, okay? I'm asking you respectfully to subscribe to the NFL on NBC YouTube channel. You'll get the latest Roto World fantasy news headlines, all sorts of great shows, including my own Fantasy Football Happy Hour. So go subscribe now. Again, I'm asking respectfully.